Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Gore Call, in which we take the time to speak to small cap executives after they put out important news. That's an understatement today because we got 14.5 million reasons to love the news put out by Jim Pakulis, CEO, chairman at Boosh Plant-Based Brands, trades in Canada under VEGI, for friends in the US under VGGIF. For those new to the story, here's what you need to know because you saw the headlines, so you're probably wondering, who's Boosh? Here's what you need to know. With the Super Bowl now done, and a lot of us probably haven't done some overeating, how many of you were thinking, man, it would be cool if my favorite comfort foods could only be healthier, right? There's no man on Super Bowl Monday that isn't thinking that exact same thing. Well, Boosh is an award-winning plant-based comfort food company. Listen to some of these names: mac and cheese and peas, veggie bolognese with Beyond Meat, Shepherd's pie with Beyond Meat, and all sorts of other amazing, multiple award-winning, 100% plant-based, GMO and gluten-free comfort foods. More than just lip service, it's turned into pretty crazy success. Here's just some of the highlights. They've expanded to more than 600 stores in less than 2 years, and that number is about to change with this press release. Included in that is Whole Foods, Safeway, Metro, IGA. Save On Foods just increased their first order from 120 to 170 stores, and they're distributed by UNFI, one of the largest distributors in North America. Today's news: Boosh revenue surge over 4,500% on acquisition of bean fields to an estimated $14.5 million. Jim, welcome back, man.
Thank you, George. Great intro. Appreciate you.
Hey, I mean, before we get to the numbers, how big, I mean, I saw these numbers, right? And we're going to talk about it in a second, but from a conceptual point of view, for shareholders of Boosh, for the industry, for you, because you said in your quote, this is one of the most significant acquisitions of my professional career. Man, how big is this acquisition by Boosh?
It's just monster. It's a Herculean acquisition. It was great working with the Beanfield team. It was just a professional, concise. They work expeditiously, as does Team Boosh. So it was fantastic. But the bottom line is the shareholders, the value to shareholders, George. I mean, we close in a couple of days. So just for clarity, just want to make sure we're almost there. We're handling the final documentation right now, but we executed the agreement on Friday, and then we'll be closing we anticipate closing the next couple of days. But if you look at the transaction, Boosh was increasing, and it is increasing on a quarter-by-quarter basis as far as revenues, which is fantastic. But when you compare that with, best case scenario, Boosh would have ended up with a million annual revenue of trailing 12 months. And you compare that to something that's doing, 14 million Canadian on a trailing 12-month period, unaudited. We're going through the audit period right now. But I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. And we were able to do it with an issuance of a conservative 8 million shares. So by keeping a very conservative cap table for Boosh, total post acquisition, we'll have about 27 million shares outstanding. Still very, very conservative number.
Jim, what does it say that Beanfields was willing to get acquired at this price? It's a fair, I mean, it's a fair price for them, but some would argue, hey, they probably could have got more. But what does that say about their attitude towards Boosh and how they think they're going to grow with you as both an operating company and as a public company in order to get even bigger exit for their stock?
Well, I don't want to put words in their mouths or speak on their behalf, but we're awfully appreciative that they believe in us as much as we certainly have believed in the Beanfield brand, and they believe in us in the long term to have taken a significant equity position within Boosh. So we're humbled, we're appreciative, we love it. And we're, as always, we just put our heads down and we go to work every day. Now we're going to work every day and every night to make sure we really crush this.
It's a behemoth. It's a
behemoth.
Hey, one thing about M&A sometimes, Jim, is, it always sounds great. It does, but quite often it's not uncommon. It's difficult to get ABC.com and George.com on the same page, because now they're one organization. You have everything from overlapping employees, legacy software, all sorts of things. How does the integration, because this is a big one, how do you see the integration going? Because you're an expert at this, between Boosh and Beanfields.
Thank you. I don't know if I'm an expert, but thank you for the compliment. I think it's going to go relatively smoothly. We spent a significant amount of time premeditating that very question. We wanted to make sure that there was synergy between the two groups, to make sure that we try not to lose a beat, to continue with the revenues, just continue with the operations. One thing with Boosh is as we say it all the time, everyone just leaves their egos at the door and we just go to work. And I think the same thing with Beanfields, and the team that is with Beanfields right now is just outstanding. Can't say enough good things about Team Beanfield. So I listen, there's always wrinkles, right? There's always wrinkles and there's always hiccups, but you just sit down, common sense, talk through it, work through it. Everyone is working for a common goal. The common goal is the equity, the shares. So we're all working, for, in fact, our shareholders and our investors. So everyone has the same goal. Everyone's rowing in the same boat. And that's the neat thing. Unlike some acquisitions where the seller gets a whole boatload of shares and there's not as much alliance or allegiance to the
we've seen that happen. They're just bailing out.
Yeah, but in this particular case, we're just we're delighted. We're over the moon, just over the moon.
Hey Jim, let's look at the numbers. The biggest one that we're all looking at is $14.5 million in revenue, and that's trailing 12-month revenue. Assuming that the acquisition closes and everything goes fine with the audit, are you going to be able to include those revenues in the Boosh numbers for this current fiscal year?
We'll be able to include those numbers as we bake in Beanfields into our financials. Yes, this fiscal year, our annual is March 31. So on the assumption that the audit gets done and everything is papered, then yes, otherwise it'll be next year. But it isn't like we're not going to be able to capture those revenues. We will be able to capture those revenues.
Oh, that's spectacular. And let's talk about going forward, 2022. I'm not going to ask you to give any specific projections or anything like that, but presumably if Beanfields and plant-based foods is doing $14.5 million last 12 trailing months, do you see some growth? Should investors probably expect to see some growth out of that in the coming 12 months?
Boy, I hate to prognosticate, George, but I personally see avenues that Beanfield's management decided not to pursue. And I think those avenues could increase sales over what the existing sales are.
Now, let's talk about the other big number that I love, which is stores increasing from 600 to 7,000. What does that do for the Boosh lineup? And what is the profile typically of the stores that are carrying Beanfields right now?
Well, theoretically, that's going to allow Boosh to go ahead and try to coattail on those 7,000 stores, right? Just common sense. We're going to try to go ahead and get Boosh now in an expedited manner into those stores throughout North America, Canada, and the US. In regards to the profile of the stores, Beanfield's done a tremendously good job in regards to selling in the Whole Foods, the Harmons, the organic grocery stores, more natural grocery stores, they did tremendously well with doing that. However, there's also the bucket of stores, the box stores, the Walmarts, the Targets, the Costcos.
So they're in all of those as well?
No, they're not. And that's what I'm saying. We have the ability to go ahead and investigate those avenues to go ahead and try and get Beanfields into those stores as well. But
they're really strong. It seems like on the street, on the ground, with all those groceries and those specialty food stores.
Yes, correct. That's right. They did a fantastic job getting 7,000.
Is there a region that they're particularly strong in, maybe in the West or the South, or are they all over North America?
all over North America, all throughout Canada, all throughout the US. They just did a wonderful job, from sea to shining sea. They did great.
So who is Beanfields? That's something I got to ask because we saw some of their products in the press release, but who are they in terms of what are they? You guys are the kings of comfort foods, right? Where does Beanfields fit in? What is their strength?
Their strength is, it's referred to as the salty snack chips. That's the salty snack chips division. That's their specialty. Near where I live is a Harmon's comparable to a Whole Foods. And when we first started chatting with Beanfields, I went into the Harmon's, and there must have been a 15 by 10 display of Beanfields chips. It was incredible. I spent about $100 buying all the different chips, and the onion rings, by the way, are phenomenal. I've gone through 4 bags of onion rings in 2 weeks. It's just, they're so, and as
I
you
don't think
start,
that's how plant-based foods work. You're not supposed to eat like 10 bags and you're still going to gain some weight if you overdo it. But that says a lot about how awesome their food is.
it was incredible. I mean, compared to the chemically induced synthetic stuff I'm so used to eating when you're eating chips, you're eating these onion rings, and you're halfway through the bag and you realize, wow, this is all beans. This is fantastic. This is great for you. So,
buddy,
really,
you're making guys, Super Bowl fans and sports fans like me really happy because every big event comes around.
Exactly.
We'll stare at the chips like, okay, I want some, but I can't go to town on these things because I can pack on 2,000 calories. But now, between Boosh and now Beanfields, man, you're going to make our lives a lot better. But on a serious note, from a business point of view, I love how complimentary you guys are because that's still in the comfort. I would still think that's in the comfort food space, right, Jim?
Yeah, absolutely. It really is. It complements perfectly. And it complements from the management style to the packaging and design. If you look at that and you compare it to the language of the marketing material, everything just blends really, really well with Boosh.
When I look at this combination, I start to think, man, we have the makings of the next like Tostitos brand, which now is, the fatty stuff, right? The stuff that's not good for us, but it's almost like I could see the lineup of Boosh and Beanfield products now becoming the new go-to next year and the years and the rest of this decade when people want to have Super Bowl parties, Oscar parties, pool parties in their backyard, birthday parties with chips and all sorts of snacks. Is that what you guys are now building towards? Where yesterday a bunch of people went and got Tostitos and salsas and put those on the table somewhere. Is that the market you guys are going after? Because I can see you guys doing some pretty serious damage there.
Yes. Yeah. That's exactly what we're going after. Think about it. We're in 3 sections of the grocery store: frozen, chill, and now shelf stable with the mac and cheese, plant-based mac and cheese. Now we're in the salty snack division as well. So yeah, that's exactly what we're going for. We want the consumer to be able to fill up their baskets at the grocery store with Boosh and Beanfields. And you got the chips, you got the entrees, you have everything. You have the cheeses, you have the pâtés, you have the mac and cheese, you have, as you said, the veggie bolognese with Beyond Meat and the shepherd's pie with Beyond Meat. We have the complete menu for the consumer to be able to snack, dinner, lunch, everything with Boosh and Beanfields.
And when you have that complete package, Jim, it makes selling to the big name box stores even easier, right? Because if I walk in with one product, I say, hey, I got some Greek product here that's plant-based. Okay, they're gonna be fine, great, but 1 or 2 or a small group of products doesn't really cut it. But now, am I overstating how powerful it is when you guys walk into some pretty big national chains and say, hey, we've got a complete comfort food lineup for you that you can put right into a section here, and it can compete against, the unhealthy stuff that, we've all been used to for decades.
I hope so. That's the game plan. I'll let you know next month. Ask me next month. I think, yeah, obviously that's the game plan, George. Sure. Yeah. But remember too, at the grocery stores, regardless of whether it's the regional store or the big box, you get so many different buyers because of each of the different segments. You got to get into their planograms. So I don't want consumers to go away with, okay, we have these 15 items. We talk to one guy at the grocery store and he buys them all and he puts them in one section. Everything is divvied up. And look at how, and placement is critical. Look at how great Beyond Meat did with the placement being next to the meat, which no one had ever done that before. They crushed it. So a lot of this is the placement as well. So it's a game of three-dimensional chess right now, as far as making sure we maximize our exposure in the grocery stores. We leverage the stores that we're picking up with bean fields, and we get at it, and we keep pushing hard. And I'm, as I've said 100 times, I got anywhere right now between 4 to 6 more acquisitions that I'm going through at various stages of due diligence. So this is not one and done, in my opinion. I hope.
Well, okay. So you and I have not planned this out. You give me the headline, we go through it. We ask you the questions that we think shareholders would be most willing, that really want to hear the answers to. And that was one of the questions, because in your quote, there was 2 parts to it. I used your first at the beginning, said this one of the most significant acquisition of my professional career, but then ... you then go on to say, and I'll continue to be looking for additional accretive candidates for Boosh. And that's what you just talked about right now. You're telling me you got 4 to 6 more acquisitions potentially that you're looking at?
Yeah, at any given time, I'll have a minimum of 4 transactions that I'm looking at various stages. Sometimes it's just a phone call and, okay, well, this doesn't work. The metrics don't work, what have you. And sometimes we spend a lot of time doing the due diligence, going through, doing all the research. So and this is a general statement, at any given time, I'll have at least 4 transactions that have been sent to me that I got to start or that I'm already working on.
Yeah.
Bottom line is, we want to grow to create a large company. That's what our goal is. And this obviously is a huge milestone for us to continue to reach our overall business goal of getting large in the plant-based sector within the next 24 to 36 months.
And I've got to presume, again, putting on the George Biz Dev hat on, that this acquisition within the plant-based foods industry is going to get a lot of attention, because obviously Beanfields is a major player, 7,000 stores, $14.5 million in revenue. So they're known within the industry from top to bottom. Is it overstating it to say you got almost everybody in the industry now saying, hey, Boosh is really making a move. Maybe we should be looking to join up forces with Boosh as well. I figure that has to be the inference.
I'll take the call. Absolutely. Feel free to give me a shout. Love to chat with you. Whoever they are, love to talk to them. We love talking with our peers in the industry.
Jim, last words to you, my friend. We could go on for an hour talking about this, but anything we haven't covered, or what is the most important thing you want to drive home to both your shareholders and all potential investors out there, especially the ones in the plant-based food space?
I think if you look at this transaction, it's indicative of the type of work that we do. We try to be as conservative with our capital as possible, conservative with our share structure as possible, to best benefit our investors and our shareholders as we grow the company. And I don't believe we're going to stop here. And do your due diligence on any time you invest in a publicly traded company, especially a small emerging publicly traded company. But we'd love for you to be a shareholder after you do your due diligence and you like us. Please, we'd love to have you be a shareholder. You can find out more about us at www.booshfood.com. www.booshfood.com.
Yep, and that address is right there on the screen for everyone to look at, but it's a good thing that Jim drives at home. By the way, I'm going to tell everyone the best due diligence you can do is go buy the food.
Yeah,
right?
touche.
Just like Jim did with Beanfields. There was a
Great
point when they were talking about maybe getting married together, and Jim walked over to the store and spent $100, ate 4 bags of onion rings, and said, "I need to have this company." But all kidding aside, I think we all do that. That's probably the best due diligence you can do. But in the meantime, Jim, congratulations to you and the team, everybody. Obviously, you got a fantastic team there. And can't wait to see what you're going to come up with next. It's Valentine's Day. Is this happy Valentine's Day to all Boosh shareholders to stock up more than 50% on this fantastic news, my friend.
Thank you, George. Thanks for taking the time.
To everybody at home, you've been watching or you've been listening to my podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, your favorite podcast platform. To Jim Pakulis, CEO at Boosh Plant-Based Brands, trades in Canada under VEGI, and for our friends in the US, VGGIF. As Jim said, what we can't tell you is what to do. You've got to do your due diligence. 2 ways to do that. First, get to the company's profile on Agoracom. Big company, a lot of things happening here. So we've got a good 1,000-foot overview for you to understand the company. And then when you're ready, jump over to the Boosh website, do your deep dive due diligence, and hopefully you discovered your next great small cap plant-based foods company. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. See you next time.
Thank you, George.
Hey guys, this video is over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and even leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our channel and never missing another great Agoracom small cap video.